Welcome to Meeple, uniting players around the world. A 30-minute exploration of PJ and Gareth's board game experiences from across both sides of the Atlantic. Each episode they share their thoughts and opinions on the world of board games, including their favourite themes, games, hot topics, and much, much more.
And welcome to episode 73. It's the 13th century in central Bohemia, and we are going to Kutná Hora, the city of silver. As always, I am PJ.
And I am Gareth.
How are you, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited because this game is... I reckon it might be number one for the year so far for me. If I had to do a judge now, I'm thinking hard, sitting here going, we've played this game a lot. I got it for Christmas. And I'm glad we're talking about it. Good suggestion. Because I don't think it gets enough love. I think it's sort of... It arrived at Essen, I think. And you picked it up, yesterday? Day before?
I picked it up 3 days ago.
And how many times have you played it?
Okay, so we played it 5 times.
Bosh.
And just for context, okay, so you and I talk about Obsession in almost every episode. Everyone knows it's our favorite
There is
game.
a game.
You know how many times we've played Obsession this year?
0. Same.
But I've played Kutná Hora 5 times in 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to, for those who haven't heard, I'll do the stats and you do the, maybe read from you do a little bit of history.
We're going to do, let's give you a little context, right?
Yeah.
So, because when we first played, I was like, wow, so what's going on? So, Kutná Hora is a small town in Bohemia. This would be what is now today the Czech Republic, right? So in 1260, there was a discovery of silver in the city, and it attracted people from all over Europe. And in the game, right, you're building up the city of Kutná Hora as well as going down into the silver mines. And it's so interesting. And the whole point is that you're playing a ruling family with the hopes of bringing people together in a spirit where hardworking miners and townsfolk will turn this medieval valley into one of the most important cities in Europe's Renaissance. Huh? How about that?
I mean, it's good. I mean, you're allied to there's different guilds. So your family's allied to, I think, the 3 of the 6 guilds. So you start with an empty canvas. So it is literally just barren fields above the silver mines. And then by the time you finish the game, you've not only dug the mines, you've built the city tile placement above the board as well.
It's like 2 tile placement games or areas, right? You're placing tiles for the city at the top, and then you're placing tiles for the mines at the bottom. And I love tile placement. Yeah.
I mean, it is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's 2 to 4 players. As I say, came out last year. We've played it 2, 3, and 4 players.
Oh, nice. We've
only
played it at 2 so far.
I'd say 3, 4 is... 2 is good. I'm not saying 2 is bad.
No, it scales really well.
It shines at 3. I think it's probably an hour. We play it pretty quick, an hour to 2 hours. I say even...
I think so.
Plays, it's pretty quick. Everyone's always... when it's not your go, you're planning through and trying to work through the next bit. And it's probably 3.3 out of 5 complexity.
Yep.
So it's a nice game to pick up, and it's published by Czech Games Edition, which is generally a game that we often enjoy.
It's so good. The cards, so it's kind of like a little hand management, right? So we all have the same deck of action cards in front of us, and each card has 2 actions. So depending on which way you play the card, right, you rotate it. You can either use it for the top, which is the rights, or the income, or the various actions.
There's like 6 actions. Yeah. Depending which way. So you've always got a choice. You've got to play 2 cards facing the right way round. And so usually you're discarding an action that you might need later. So you've always got this.
Right.
So you play 2, then you'll play 2 cards and take 2 actions.
Right.
And then the next person plays on their second go plays 2 cards, and then plays 2, and then you play a fifth, the final card. So you get 5 actions, but the opportunity is there's obviously there's a player board that you can unlock, I guess, another action on, not a different action, but another go.
Right.
So it's always looking for a nice little chain of events that allows you to. You've got actions from. I'm going to get these right now. So you've got mining. So you dig down in the mine, and that's like you take 1 tile, and as the mining guild develops, as they invent new technology, you can pick up more tiles, and you place that down. And there's 2 core scoring mechanics. You score for kind of like area placement control in the city,
a little bit,
and then you score based on the depth of the mine and a number of, I guess, whether your people have dug that part of the mine. So the more you dig, the more points you can score.
Right.
So I guess that's mining. Then you've got rights, which is basically grabbing the rights to one of the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And the clever bit here is that out of the 6 guilds, you can only build
3 of them.
Yeah, if you've got the bakers or the butchers, you can only build those 3.
Right.
But collectively, you haven't got access to everything.
Right.
And if you build too much, the game's got a really clever mechanic that stops you building for a bit while other people need to build. And if they choose not to build, you kind of need to work together to keep building the city.
So
I think is a great mechanic.
My question to you is, I feel like what you're describing felt a little bit Lacerda-esque, right? So you got to get right. You got to take the rights action to get access to the tile so you can build it. But then you've got to take the plot action to claim the space on the map.
Yeah.
And then later on, you have to take the build action so that you can build where you have a plot. But if you have too many plots, there's plot taxes at the end of each round that you got to be careful.
Yeah, if you're hoarding or basically it's trying to not let you create a monopoly in the game.
Right.
But at the same time, so there's a part of the rule book that makes it really clear. There's buildings that help your guild, and that basically generates cash. And cash is king, and cash is king.
Cash is king.
But there's also public buildings that will get built as the game progresses anyway by the game if you're not careful.
Right.
But they can generate points and, I guess, bonuses. But if you build them with all your hard-earned cash and you run out, you're stuffed. Yeah. But you might grab it early because you'll know you'll need it later. So there's a bit of what faction, what guilds am I? How's the board playing? Am I going to focus on? You kind of need to focus on a little bit of everything, but you can get a lot because you're going to get points from either mining and from plots, and it's what people build around your tiles, because that influences how many points you get.
Right, because your guild buildings, the tiles themselves have a little guild icon in the upper left corner. The public buildings have 2 or 3 guild icons, and you want those to match. So at the end of the game, for every building that you've built, you will score 1 point for each matching icon bordering your building.
Yeah.
But if you're bordering the same building, I could potentially be giving my opponents points by building one of those public structures.
Watching where people are building and then people miss. Or then you see suddenly there might be 2 or 3 tiles away. And you're like, all right, there's a double blue. Right, I'm 3 away. So if I do that, I grab the plot, I get that icon, I get myself positioned. That's 3, 6, 10 points lined up.
Yes.
So it's delicious.
It's so good. I mean, there's so much action economy. You've got to manage your actions, especially those cards, right? Because you have to take the rights, then you have to have the plot, and then you have to build. Yeah. And the way that those actions are configured on your cards, you may not be able to do all of the things, right? So you might have to take the rights and the plot this turn. Your next round, you might be able to build just because of the way. Because then you also want to get income. And you can only get income by playing the income card, right? There's no like at the end of the round, there's an income phase. You have to trigger income for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of the forward planning.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, trying not to get screwed over when someone takes the building. So yeah, when a building is taken, the other buildings they get more expensive.
Yeah.
So everything costs money. Well, actually, everything costs resources, but resources ultimately is cash.
Yep.
Which I think we haven't talked about. So there's 2 decks of cards. There's a population card,
and then the ore deck. Yeah.
Yeah, and whenever you build a guild building, you basically increase the costs or the cash that you'll get for generating, either pigs from the butchers or from the mine.
Mm-hmm.
And as more people move into the city, the population deck starts to turn over cards. It's about 20 or 30 cards in the deck. And that either puts the price up or down. So if people build too much, then the price of things come down. But as the population grows and demand is better, then things get more expensive. So
this is where the game shines here, is these 2 markets, because you could slide the little bars across. It's like this 3-dimensional. Okay, you got to pick up a copy of this game because this is so cool. So you have 2 3-dimensional cardboard. What do you want to call these? Card holders. And so
3
one is
slidey bars on top
with 3 bars that represent the resources, and they slide to the right as the market to represent market inflation, the inflation of the market costs. But then you slide the decks of cards underneath them, and as they grow, you shuffle through those cards, and it reveals a new number, which is the current market price for all the resources. It's so, oh my gosh.
You're basically tracking 6 resources.
Yeah.
And I think what the pain is when you're planning through and somebody decides to build something.
Yep.
And maybe the cost of wood was, for every wood you need, it's going to cost you 2 coins.
Right.
And then someone does some development and the price of wood goes up to 3 coins.
Yes.
And you've gone, right. So people can really not screw you over, but the economy does shift. And I think it's a really clever mechanic.
It's amazing. It's really cool and worthy.
Dynamic.
So do we want to talk about the church, the role of the church, and the St. Barbara action for a minute?
Yeah, so we've talked about mining. We've talked about grabbing rights, getting plots and building. There's the income, which is basically
income.
You basically generate coins from all the buildings you invested in.
Right.
And then we've got the Santa Barbara action.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. I've not seen a game where the church is so influenced. Like usually it's thematic and it's in the background, whatever, but it's like it's relevant. So you have one card that has the St. Barbara action, which represents your house is contributing to St. Barbara's Cathedral. And there's a beautiful photograph of the cathedral in the rule book, right? Yeah. So they call it a cathedral, but it's like, it's so cool. And you get these benefits from it. You can increase your reputation. And there's all these tiles and they're built in order, which is really cool. So it's a Gothic style church. It's not really a cathedral because that's the seat of a bishop. It's just a church, but it's this big one. And as you build as you contribute to St. Barbara's Cathedral, you get more and more bonuses. Sometimes your reputation goes down, but you can get income twice. Or
I've heard mixed views. So because these are powerful one-off bonuses,
very powerful,
like getting double income. Yes, there's a bit of negative, but getting cash twice, or basically building a piece of a building for free, or getting a plot for free,
or being able to lay down a mine or take the mine action twice. I think one of them is.
Yeah. They are. So people say they're a bit unfair. Personally, I've never had a problem. I see it as part of the influence. If I time my action right, they're all reasonably powerful, depending on what you're trying to do. Certainly, cash has helped. I've had cash double before and not won the game. Yeah. It's all about timing, but if we don't build them, the game will build them when certain cards come out.
Yep. There are certain buildings that when you build them in the town, it tells you to flip over one of the tiles, but then that triggers the increase of taxes.
Yeah. Which is, again, another nice economic. It is, well, we're going to have to build a church, says the council. So you're going to have to pay for it. So if you work together, again, collectively, you can keep taxes down. So that is, I think that's the actions covered. So at the 6 guilds, there's the metallurgists, there's the miners, the scribes, the builders, the grocers, and the innkeepers.
Yes.
So keeping those balanced means everyone is not. It's a nice, calm mining town, village.
It really is.
But when people start to sit back and not build, it can be quite painful. But
it can.
It doesn't stop anyone winning.
And then there's these cool little 1 or 2 sentence blurbs on each of the guilds. For example, the metallurgist, right? Off on the rulebook says, the process of extracting silver from ore was long and complicated. The metallurgist buildings in this game represent various steps in that process. Kutná Hora was an industrial town and dozens of furnaces burned day and night. And it does that for all the guilds. And I just think that's really cool. Just kind of an added flavor. And
one of my favorite.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think, like you say, miners. A miner worked in subterranean darkness. His only light, a tiny lamp that gave off barely as much illumination as a lit match. Could have been a history.
Yeah.
A lit match working in, that depth.
I know.
I felt the rule book, and we right at the back, as you say, there's a section on the churches that are mentioned in the game.
Yep.
I think there was a lot of research in the game. It references that within the credit section in terms of how much historical research into this town, which, to be honest, I've never heard of until I played the game.
Neither had I. I was not familiar with this story, and I'm really, one of my favorite things about our hobby is there's a game for everybody, and you always learn something new. Like this obscure town, Kutná Hora. Like, what? That's never heard of it. Now we have a whole game centered around it, and it's an amazing one. I also want to reference, this is cool. I would like to see this more. It features the components. Let's talk about. So the components they're made of something called rewood. And they have a little explanation in the rule book. We're proud to have the first modern board game featuring rewood. It's a revolutionary material developed in Germany. It's a new technology that combines wood waste and recycled binding materials to make a highly detailed board game component. So you have the round counters, the houses, the miners, all your components are made of this rewood. So it's environmentally friendly. It's made from the waste of, wood chipping processes and the using of recycled binding materials. And they're just as good as any resin.
They are. Yeah, I'm about to say the same. Just like a resin component. The detail's excellent.
But I would probably take more. I'd like to see more of this than resin.
Yeah, no, I think they're excellent. Really good components. I also, again, if you get a chance, look at the photographs. Go online, look at because it's this kind of silvery gold artwork style. Really opulent, is that the right word? But
opulent.
It's got this sheen to it, an art style that is, it's beautifully illustrated. I have one gripe. See whether you have the same gripe though.
I have a gripe too. Go ahead.
So my gripe, when you place the buildings on the board, the building, you put it down front side up at the start, and it's got the name of the building, it's got all the bonuses you trigger, and then when you've completed it, you flip it over to this lovely art. It doesn't tell me the building anymore, and I wish it did. It's blank. So when I look at the city, I don't go, oh, that's the church or that's the mining bit. it loses. I mean, it looks pretty. But I'd love to still know that this was the smelting thingy, and this is the vents, and these are the furnaces, or whatever else. I can't remember the names of it all. But that was I was like, I thought, what was your gripe?
Now that you say that, you're absolutely right. That is in fact true, but I didn't notice it. So my gripe is, so the game scales really well, right? One side is for 2 players, the other side is for 3 and 4. Here's my problem: is the board itself.
Okay.
It comes in pieces like a puzzle, and I'm like, I didn't think that was necessary. Just print a double-sided board. You could have made 2 boards, the top market area and then the mine in the town, and just folded it up. And I thought that would work. Instead of me having to assemble
a 2x2 puzzle, plus then you've got the round track sits on top.
And
then you've got the town hall board that's carrying. So I don't know whether it's a cost thing or
maybe. I would have made it a foldable board like every other game and print it double-sided, which is fine. Because when I first saw it, I was like, this is really cool. You can mix and match it. No, you can't.
It's just A or B.
So why are you making me assemble the board? I mean, this is a small gripe.
Unless there's I know there's an expansion coming, so
that's true.
Maybe. I doubt it.
I want to go back to components. I will say this. This is a game where I strongly recommend you get the metal coins.
Not just, I bought 2 packets of the coins. Did you know? So it comes with cardboard coins. Which I then bought the metal coins because they are lovely. Really, they are nice components.
And it's not just that they're lovely. It's not just that metal coins are better.
But these are thematically, they just...
No, absolutely, I agree with you. But here's the thing. The cardboard coins. So we're playing the game, and we've got a little Zen bins to sort out the different denominations of Groschen. I believe the coin.
Yeah, I think
the Groschens. So when you grab the cardboard, they don't when you end up grabbing too many, or they slip because of the surface of the cardboard. This is not something I normally gripe about. Normally, who cares? But I strongly believe that the metal coins are better served in this game. When you want to grab a 10 Groschen, you can do that. A lot of times we were grabbing and dropping them, and it was like, it's a small thing, but there you go.
On the coins, they should... It was 1 10s and 20s, I think. And I think I could do with 5s. These are minor gripes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I threw all the the cardboard coins away. Then I found out that there's more cardboard coins than metal coins.
Oh.
Which is why we didn't quite run out, but sometimes it was quite tight, particularly the ones without the 5. So I bought another pack of coins just so that we didn't run out.
Good for you. Good for you.
But don't. So if I would have kept some cardboard coins back if I had known.
So the opposite of a gripe, compliment, I don't know. Another feature of the game that I love are the player boards.
Oh, yeah.
So Czech games, CGE is really good at this. They make these player boards where you put the little double-sided adhesive and then you fold them in half, creating...
Oh, yeah. I forgot that. Yeah.
A double... Yeah. And so you get these double layered boards, but they're not printed double layered. You've got to assemble them. But Starship Captains is another game in their line that does the same thing.
Yeah.
The starships are folded and you stick them together and they're beautiful. And these do really well. I really enjoy that a lot. Like, that was a nice touch. And CGE just,
yeah, it's been a few games I've had recently that have been doing that.
They do it right.
It's a double board, but you just put them together yourself. It worked well. I guess endgame scoring we haven't talked about. So
no, we have not.
End of round scoring. So
end of round.
There's a load of buildings which are for the patricians.
Mm-hmm.
Which, when you build them, you'll get either green, grey, yellow, or red, like the council member patrician.
Yep.
And you can put them onto one of the scoring mechanics, which might be get 1 for every building type or 2 for every church influence you've done. But everyone gets that.
Right.
So if I add it and we've all got the same, no benefit. But if you can time it right, you can get a big advantage, particularly every round. If somebody hasn't been maybe focusing on mining or the depths of the mine. Again, I don't think I've seen the game massively swing. Either people don't push it, and then I say end the game scoring. It's points for your board, for how much you've plotted in the board, points for the mines. Then you count up all your cash for one generation of all your income, and then you got the reputation track, which I have seen win the game because you can get some big points on the reputation track. So, and that's it. About an hour and a half's worth of fun.
Oh yeah, and some really unique mechanics that are just amazing.
Yeah, I really do hope that they do bring out an expansion. I know there's something in the works, but they wouldn't share it with us.
No, of course not. No,
it's a bit early.
So I know that our good friend Adam from Tabletop Vibes, this is one of his favorite things in a game, and Kutná Hora has it. And that's an event deck.
Yeah, which in theory is 2-player only. But
is it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 2-player.
Okay.
But people add it in for 3 and 4.
But it's so good. It's so good.
I wish there was a few more cards for a little bit more variety.
Replayability, yeah.
Again, it's a little bit of history. And sometimes it's a positive and sometimes it's a negative. But it's not...
Yeah. So it is a specific historical event that happened in the history of Kutná Hora, and then that event influences some sort of an effect in the game for that round. Yeah. And like you said, sometimes they're good and sometimes they're negative, but they're cool.
It definitely helped out with the lack of that third player.
Yeah, and I like it. But I would see using it in a 3 and 4 player game too, because it kind of it drives the competition of the game.
Yeah,
because you're like, okay, well, taxes are going to be double this round, so maybe I don't want to do this thing, and I should do income, or
maybe that's somewhere that an expansion could focus. Would be a wider event deck designed for all players.
And there's 2 decks, right? There's an A and a B, so there is some replayability.
Yeah,
I think you're gonna have 3 A cards and 2 B cards because it's just the first 5 rounds.
Yeah,
and so that's cool, but I think you're right. There needs to be more.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The other thing I've not talked about, and I guess we are both sticklers for a good rule book, and the rule book is well written. But the other thing the game comes with, which I'm going to be very open, I forgot to even use in the first time we played this. But their handout is absolutely what a good handout player aid should be.
Yep.
So on one side, it's got a very brief description of the action, but enough that you could play. It's got a bit about the icons on the player board, a section on scoring. And on the other side, it's kind of those icons who appear. So really good. And it even shows you the percentage or the number of the build icons there are when you're scoring.
Yeah.
Well done, Czech Games, for such a good player aid.
And I'm glad you brought this up because this came up last week in last week's episode, right?
Yeah.
From Tennessee Game Days, Adam and Jerry and we talked about player aids.
So important.
And so important. We talked about games that had really good ones. We talked about games that had really poor player aids. And
there's games that don't have a player aid.
Right.
And I'm like, I have to go to Board Game Geek or somewhere or make like Obsession. I once made my own.
You did.
Because, you need sometimes you think the icons or just that little flow. Is so important.
You've got to have it. You have to have a player aid. And you have to have a good player aid.
Yeah. And this one.
Use all the space and communicate clearly, right? Like that's important. Yeah. And Kutná Hora does it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of icons. And I think, I've taught this to quite a lot of different people now. And maybe anyone's listening who's coming to Cajun Con, maybe we can teach it that. But once you've gone through, there's six cards, and you've got basically six actions, and these are how the interrelationships work. It's a relatively straightforward teach. There is quite a lot to absorb on the very first run through, but
it's true. But really good.
Yeah, really good.
So we got Cajun Con coming up in a few weeks, and there's talk of an Obsession tournament, right?
Maybe someone. I think is it Craig? Somebody said it's Obsession with Obsession.
He said it's Cajun Con, Obsession with Obsession or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So rumor has it that we're going to have 4 copies of Obsession, and we're all going to play Obsession at the same time with some fancy dress, which I think
that's right.
Through in the mix.
I am planning on dressing up as one of the characters in the game. That is my plan.
I think we should all try that with some afternoon English tea, which is scones or scones, depending who are in the land of the United Kingdom, and whether you put cream and jam on first or second. And if you're wondering what this Englishman's talking about,
right,
just Google jam, cream, scone.
Or wait a few weeks till I return.
Yeah, you can explain.
And I will, because our American listeners are going to be like, what? Cream and jam?
Yeah,
what?
Is it a biscuit or is it a scone?
Is it a scone? Is it a scone? Do you put cream before jam? It's and the Americans are like, they're biscuits and we put butter. Can we move on, please?
No. That's what we're going to have on a silver platter with some cakes and cucumber sandwiches.
We need to get a silver platter that's made from the silver of the mines of Kutná Hora.
Yeah, I think that might be a bit expensive, but I'll just get some aluminium trays, so we'll be fine.
I love it. Well, anyway, that is Kutná Hora, the City of Silver by Czech Games. Pick up a copy because it's awesome. It's got some great mechanics, great game, totally worthy. Thanks for letting us talk about it today, Gareth. This was awesome.
No, it's a great choice. Absolutely. One of the games of the year so far, and if you haven't got this, I look forward to hearing that you've been out and purchased it.
That's right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Please subscribe, and as always, we love to hear your thoughts and ideas, so make sure to leave those in the comments. And don't forget, you can also chat with us both on Instagram, @Meeple to Meeple.